Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is in the playlist called SQL Concepts Clarified, and here we'll learn what a database schema is, okay, in Oracle database especially. An Oracle schema is, I'll put it right here, give me a second. It is a collection of database objects owned by a specific user. These objects can include the ones we see in SQL Developer. We're in SQL Developer, which is an IDE tool of Oracle. And if we look on my left-hand side under Oracle Connections, under beneath this node called DBOS, which is my connection name only, then below that you will see these are database objects, tables, views, indexes, packages, procedures, functions. I'll skip over triggers, types, sequences. Others I haven't used, but these are the more commonly used ones, okay? And so these are samples of database objects. And in this example, this schema is, like I said, it's a collection of database objects such as these, and they are owned by the schema. A schema is, it will look like a username, but it's also the owner of those database objects. Okay, when a database user is created, a schema is created for that particular user with the same name. So it's important to know the concept of a schema, whether or not you are deep into SQL, whether you're a developer, DBA, or even if you're not a developer, it's still it helps to know the concept of schema, because sometimes you will have issues with accessing a database object, such as not able to select from a table because you were not given or granted the necessary permission, okay? Or it is residing, the table you're accessing is in another schema, things like that. Okay, let's take a look at the table called CityTime here. So I will expand the node called tables here in the navigator pane here, and I'll look for CityTime. If I click on CityTime table and give it just a little while, so you'll see the properties on the right side. I will click on the SQL tab, but just wait a little while after that, okay? While it gets the DDL. The DDL, data definition language, is the SQL used to create this particular object, in this case, table. So this is a table, so the DDL statement will show you the create table statement. Now, take a look at the first line here, which I will highlight. We're talking about schema, if you remember. So the create table here is the command. It is not always create table. If you'll create a view, then you will say create view. If you'll create a procedure, then you will say create procedure. In this case, you're creating a table. This DDL statement is for the purpose of creating a table. Okay, so create table. This is the command, SQL command. What follows is the object name. So it's trying to create a table called CityTime. Okay, but there is a dot notation here, which is in this format, owner dot object name. Owner is also the schema or schema name. That's the schema. If somebody asks you, this table CityTime, it belongs to what schema? Then it is, the schema is system. Now again, if we go back to the definition, it's a collection of objects, of database objects, that's the schema. It is also the same name as the database user who created it. When we say database user, it doesn't mean a person. It means a logical user ID. It's a functional user ID. Okay, what do I mean by that? You could call it, let's say, system, or let's say DBA1, DBA2. It doesn't mean it's a person. That's a functional user ID, which could be used by one or even multiple persons. All right. So if you want to know now that you've seen this create statement, now you've seen this is the schema over here. It is sometimes it's appearing in the create statement once you dig up the DDL statement of a database object. Okay, let's just close it. Don't worry because it's a new concept for many of us. It's all right. Now we will take a look at, we will see at least two ways how to know the schema. Okay, the schema is when you create an object, it will look at the current user logged in to the database. All right. So there are at least two ways that you can learn in this video how to know the currently logged in user. One is if you're using the IDE tool of Oracle, which is SQL Developer, the one I'm using right now, then you can go to that. And under the connections, you see here, Oracle connections. Beneath that is you see this icon of a plug, of a mail plug. That means we are connected to the database. The DBOS is just a nickname. We can see, we can right click on this DBOS connection and then go to properties, which is at the very bottom of the context pane. Okay, no problem. And then let's go one by one here. So this is not necessarily the database name. It's just a nickname. I can call it a nickname. Okay, so the real database name is here, SID. This is Oracle terminology, the SID. All right, but the one we're interested in right here is this concept of schema. So here the schema is here under username. Okay, username is the schema, because the schema, like I mentioned earlier, at the time of creation of a database user ID or account, a schema is created for it. And at that time, no database objects yet exist under that schema. But when you're logged in as that user, then it will, when you create an object, it will now be owned or be created under the schema of that user ID. Okay, you will see once I give you the example. So here we're looking at a way how to identify the currently logged in user. So in this case, the currently logged in user is system. Another way to know the currently logged in user is to run this command. No need for a semicolon. It's not case sensitive also. Okay, so if I type show user, not case sensitive, no need for a terminator like a semicolon, I execute this to give me user is system, the same value that we saw when we right clicked on this connection, the DBOS connection, and then we went to properties, and then we went to username. So it's the same one. So what I mean by this is the currently logged in user. Now, the important thing about it is to remember is this. Whoever is the logged in or whichever is the logged in user ID, once you create something, create a table, view, procedure, trigger, function, etc., that database object will now be owned or be under the schema of this DB user. Okay, this will now be the schema of that object. I'll show you an example right now. We will create a table. Okay. Okay, another way of this show user, just for your info, many of the SQL plus SQL plus commands can be abbreviated. So here, instead of show SHOW, you can remove the W. So you can type shorter, quicker, and it will give you the same thing. Okay, I can close this and redo, re-execute. See, it works. Okay, go back. We will be creating a table. Remember that the logged in user is called system. All right. Now I'll create a table, which still doesn't exist. Otherwise, it will throw an error when I try to create this. So create table. This is the command. Create table. We're trying to get a table. And I'm giving the name of customers. And within the pair of parentheses are the definitions of the columns. Okay. Column name, data type, length, comma, column name here, data type here, length. All right. Date, there's no length. Okay, so I'm trying to create a table that consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. In fact, this is a copy of an existing table I have here, which is called customer. Here, I just added an S just for the sake of this demonstration. So when I try to execute this, it created a table. We look at the console, it says table customers created. So it created a table called customers. And if we refresh on the left side, on the in this navigator panel. I don't know what it's called actually. So you can click the refresh button here, and then you can look for customers. It's right here. Okay. When I click on customers, and then I click on the SQL tab to take a look at the DDL, data definition language, SQL of it, which was used, or which can also be reused to create a table, then it's there. Notice the difference. So the create table here, which I typed in or pasted, just says, the first line of it says, create table customers. But when I go to the DDL of this newly created table, it says something a bit different. Create table system.customers. So at the time of creation or after creation, Oracle added this schema name in front. In fact, internally, this is what is happening because it is a way for the database to distinctly identify error-free with no doubt that it is creating a table and it's belonging to this, it should belong to this schema. So how is it? How did it come up with this value of system? It is because it was the user ID logged in, or using that user ID, I logged in as that. Remember, how do I know it? Because of this show user. If I do show user, it shows that the user logged in is system. And when I did a create table, I executed a create table statement. Then Oracle found out that that's the logged in user, so it will be used as the schema of that table. Schema is owner of this object. So now after we refreshed the list of tables on the left side, now we see the customers table, newly created table here, which wasn't there before. Okay. Okay. So now I hope you learn about the concept of schema. Remember, schema can be two things. It can refer to the collection, a collection of database objects under one DB user ID, or schema can also be it will have the same look as the database user ID. In this case, there's a user ID called system, and it also happens to be the schema or the owner of multiple database objects. Thank you for watching and listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe. And I'll be seeing you in the next video.